My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. And this review will have spoilers, so there's your warning. And also for this review, my entire head is going to be in the frame, unlike last week's review, which was a very embarrassing slip up on my end of things. But I like my review, so I kept it. So, anyways, this is universally agreed upon as the worst of the original three Indiana Jones, and for the longest time, it had a lot of negativity behind it. And even though I do agree it's the worst of the first three movies, I still really loved this movie. I wasn't actually allowed to watch it growing up. I was allowed to watch the first one and the third one, but this one was just too dark apparently. And I can see why looking back, but man, that's what I love about this movie. Like, let's just go into the story here. And it begins with this fantastic opening dance number that just sets the stage so perfectly. And then we get Indiana facing off against the Shanghai Mafia. And they keep trading pieces using that spinning dial in the middle of a table. And I just really love the way this scene is shot. And then Indiana gets poisoned and they have the antidote. And this big fight breaks out. And Indiana shish kebabs a dude. And then he runs out the building by hiding behind a dong that's rolling around, and he jumps out the window and he lands on some fabric, some more fabric, some more fabric, and he lands softly, and I love all of that. It's the perfect kind of over the top action that I adore, but it also treats itself very seriously, so love all that. And then we get this scene when they're on a plane and the pilots left, and it's just Indiana, really, and short round. There's no parachutes, so what do? They jump out the plane on an inflatable life raft, and they slide down a mountain, off a cliff, onto a river. And I know this might not work for some people because it's very cartoonish. They would obviously died, but it's the right kind of cartoonish action, and it works for me. I think it's a total blast. Just the scene when they slide down the mountains and off the cliff, it's just very exciting stuff, and I love it. We then find out about this village whose headstone, is that what they call it? Headstone? The statue is missing, and their kids are being captured, so Indiana agrees to help them out. They then go to this palace, and I love lots of what's on display here, but especially when they discover a secret passageway. And I just want to say this, we don't get enough secret passageways in movies anymore. I would like more. They're just something so simple that are very exciting, and it's a trope that I love. And they go into this room where the ground has spikes and the roof has spikes, and it's coming down. It's going to squish Indiana and short round and really saves them just in time, and I love this entire sequence. We then get the scene that many people talk about when they talk about this movie. Well, the bad guy whips out a dude's heart, which is just, look, it's not for everyone, but I love this kind of supernatural action. It's just cool, it's just badass, it's just uses it's just something that is memorable. Like I said, everybody talks about this scene. So he takes out the guy's heart, the guy's still alive, and he gets lowered into this pit of fire, whereas he burns up, so does his heart. And I just love all that. It's very menacing. It sets the stage for just how powerful these villains are. And they then try to capture the three stones, but they get captured, and Indiana gets placed in this kind of trance, and there's a voodoo doll of Indiana, and I love just all of this supernatural elements just really stands out. It fully embraces it, and I adore that about this movie. And then Indiana's about to kill is about to kill Willie, but then Short Round gets him out of the trance, and you got this great action scene here, and then they set all the kids free, and you got this scene where Indiana's facing off against this big guy. But what makes this fight stand out from the airplane fight in the first movie is the fact that someone has the voodoo doll of Indiana. So while he's fighting this big dude, he's getting attacked on this doll. And it just adds to the tension because you feel so helpless. How can he beat this kid who has this voodoo doll of him? And it gives Short Round an opportunity to step up to the plate, and I love all this. And then the bad guy's thing gets caught in the rolling thing, and he gets squished like a bug. And then you get what I'm going to go ahead and say is one of the greatest action set pieces of all time. The minecart chase is phenomenal. It is pure perfection. It is exciting. It is thrilling. It is incredibly well directed. It's just such a memorable sequence. And then afterwards, they're getting chased by this giant wave of water, and they get out, and they're just on the verge of this cliff, and they get separated, and you get this final battle on this loose bridge above a pit of crocodiles, and all of this really works for me. I love it. That's the movie summed up, and it's just one memorable scene after the other. One memorable scene after another, and I just love so much of it. I love how this movie does have that darker tone. You've got the human sacrifices, you've got the evil cart, you got the trance-like state, you got the voodoo doll. All of that stuff is what really elevates this movie. But you've also got some really goofy shit, like Short Round taking down a bunch of dudes and how they survived that plane crash. And it's, to me, the perfect balance of dark and serious while being light and goofy, and the contrast works perfectly for me. I watched this movie with my brother who watched it for the first time, and he didn't like that contrast. And I completely disagree with him, but I get it. I also think this might be a hot take. I think it's one of the best directed Steven Spielberg movies. I think when you look at the actual craft here, it is just impeccable. The production design elevates this movie in every way. Like, the villains there just has this unique, moody atmosphere to it. And I love the red lighting. It's just really memorable stuff. And I think the score by John Williams is great. I love how it adds to the cult-like vibe of this movie. It's beautifully shot. You know, even just when they're outside on elephants, it just captures the beauty of the nature so well. And when it's inside this evil temple, it just captures the tone needed there. And it's like, what, just over 2 hours, and once again, it just flies by. Like, these movies are so perfectly paced. And like I said, the minecart scene is excellent, and it's just... I need to watch behind the scenes of this movie because I want to see how Steven Spielberg did that. It's just incredible. And once again, this movie is way funnier than I remember. That one scene early on when Indiana gets in the airplane and he's saying goodbye to Lao Chi, and he's just like, "So long, Lao Chi, maybe next time," and he closes the door and it's a Lao Chi plane. It's just a perfect visual gag. And then the meal with all the bugs and the snakes and how Riley's reacting here. And then she's like, finally, some dessert. And it's monkey brains. I love that. The scene when Short Round steps on the thing in the temple, locking them in. And then Indiana's like, just go up against the wall. And he does just that. And then it activates everything else. He goes like, I did what you told me to do. And Riley's trying to save them, and she's freaking out, and Indiana's just like, we are going to die. And when he keeps telling her to shut up, he spoke for all of us there. And when he stops the minecart by putting his feet in front, and he's just like, water, because his feet are so hot. And then there's just giant wave of water coming, and he just runs away screaming, water! Just, the comedy in these movies works so perfectly, and Harrison Ford is just the perfect movie star here. He's got so much personality, he carries this movie perfectly, he's funny, he has heart, just an incredible performance in every way, and I love Ke Huy Quan as Short Round. He's a very different kind of character, but I loved his relationship with Indiana. They had a nice dynamic. But let's get to the negatives. Continuing with some of the performances, first with Emrich Puri as Mola Ram. Now, I don't think he does a bad job, and there are some menacing qualities to this villain, but he's kind of just, at the end of the day, forgettable. I needed a bit more from him. And then we get to the biggest negative, and you know what it is. It's Kate Capshaw as Willie. She's fucking annoying. She screams way too much, and she's just frustrating. When she's crying about how she broke a nail, I'm just like, oh my goodness, this is the most annoying tropey character I've ever seen. You know, she's just unbearable. And I don't even get why she's in this movie. Like, Indiana grabs her at the nightclub, and I don't know why she needed to go on the plane with them. I don't know if that works at all. And I never bought her relationship with Indiana. That scene when they're like, you'll be back here in 5 minutes. You'll be in my place in 5 minutes. And then they're just waiting by the clocks, waiting for the other to show up. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so bad. This is like from a really bad romantic comedy. I just, you know, at the end when they get together and they kiss, I'm just like, this isn't a happy ending. Indiana's now in a relationship with an unbearable, insufferable, ungrateful woman, and just hate this character. If it wasn't for her, I'd probably give this movie like a perfect score, but she really annoys me. And another criticism I have is when Indiana is in his trance-like state, it happens so fast, and then it's over so fast that I would have liked a bit more time when he's like that, just to add to the stakes. If there was one scene between him entering the trance-like state and him about to kill Willie, I feel like that would have been perfect. But that all aside, I love this movie. It's got so many memorable moments. It's got this great dark atmosphere to it with some very disturbing and dark moments. I just think it's incredibly well directed. Harrison Ford and Ke Huy Quan is great. And yeah, it's a movie I have a blast watching, so I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Okay, have you seen Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom? What did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin out.